Hey guys, welcome to a new episode. This episode we are getting this engine torn down even further. When I very first got it, I pulled off the intake manifolds, and even in the last episode I pulled off the lower portion of that. That was barely disassembly. We're going to rip this thing all the way down to the connecting rod. So stay tuned. So I went ahead and cleared a space in the garage, got all of my tools ready to rock. I'm going to start with something easy. I'm just going to get this down and pull the heat shields off and see if I can get the exhaust manifolds off without snapping all of the bolts. Those are notorious for having the bolts snap just from all the heat cycling. So fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. So I hit my first little snag. This right side passenger, probably in Japan, driver's side actually. This right side came off pretty easily. This bracket was, this line rather, a little bit in the way, just ran up to this power steering pump. So obviously I need all custom power steering lines, so this doesn't really matter much. So I just had to bend it about half an inch out of the way and it slid right off. Sorry, I need to make sure I see what I'm filming. Slid right off and it's right here. Now the other side came off pretty easily. I didn't have to pry it or anything, it just popped right off. The issue is the oil check tube, or the dipstick tube itself is in the way. There's a bolt here that I undid, so I got the bracket off that holds it, but this is actually welded to the tube itself and it cannot slide through this hole. That's part of the exhaust manifold. So I'm gonna have to pull this off somehow, figure that out really quick. This doesn't have, man, it's pretty dark in here, sorry. That's not a nut or washer or anything holding it in here that I can see. It's like a rubber O-ring. So I don't know if it has to be unbolted from the inside or if you just pull up really hard and this unsticks. I've never pulled one of these apart, so I'm gonna try figuring that out, see if I can get this left side exhaust manifold off. So since I'm going to be messing with that oil pan, I went ahead and drained the oil that was left over in here. There wasn't very much, maybe a quart and a half. Also pulled off the bell housing, just get it out of the way as I'm starting to just pull it all apart. Now once I got to the oil filter, it's mounted on the side right here. This thing is massive. And I mean, it is absolutely massive. I'm gonna go grab the one for my Ford F-150, the 5-liter V8 I have. This is also a 5-liter, but I'm just gonna show you how much bigger this oil filter is. I couldn't find the F-150's oil filter, but I found 2 others that will give you an idea of how big this thing really is. The one in the center here belongs to a Mazda CX-5, so fairly small engine. That's just a regular car, you know, nothing big. The one on the left is for a Ford F-250 Super Duty, which has a 6.7-liter engine. This V12 is a 5-liter, and its oil filter is bigger. You know, show you just how big this thing is. A Super Duty filter is significantly smaller. I talked to guys from Quick Shift TV who are doing the Supra Supreme build. They're putting one of these engines into, I think it's a Mark II Supra. Anyway, a Supra. They're putting it into theirs. Really, really beautiful oil pan made out of CNC aluminum. So the pan they built is just a block of aluminum that is machined down to fit the Supra steering rack, which is in the front, which is where my steering rack is. If you guys remember, it lines up somewhere right in here. So since I need to get that new oil pan anyway, this one has to come off regardless. I'm just gonna pull it off now and try and figure out that dipstick tube problem. Just finished pulling off the exhaust manifolds and the intake manifold right now. So this is what it looks like. Got the bell housing off as well. So this is actually day 2 of the engine teardown. I had to go to a wedding last night. My little sister was getting married, which was really awesome. So I took a break for that, obviously. Didn't want to miss that. Coming back to this now this morning. I just spent about 2 hours just cleaning up and organizing things in here. Labeling things, getting them all started to get stored away. Coming back to the engine, I'm gonna pull off the engine mounts and that oil pan today. That's my goal before it gets too hot. I think the temperature outside is supposed to be 114 Fahrenheit today, which in Celsius is like 45, 46, something like that. So pretty hot, and this isn't air conditioned in here, so I'm gonna just get going and show you guys the videos of that. I got the disassembly coming along a lot further. Things are going pretty well, looking pretty good. I started pulling off a lot of the accessory drive stuff up front, so the alternator and the power steering pump that were on this side are off. On the other side, there's the, what do we have? The oil pump, the coolant pump, and the AC, I believe those 3 are. But anyway, those will come off in a minute. I just want to show you guys the casting on the block up close, as well as some of the bracket casting. I think this looks pretty cool, just like the pattern they designed to make this all structurally sound, make it all strong. Pretty good looking castings, honestly. This is one of the brackets over by the alternator, and even this piece is, I don't know, it's like pretty beautiful looking metal, honestly. Pretty cool little engine. So I'm just gonna keep going and keep filming it for you guys. All right, this thing is getting torn down really far now. You guys just saw me pull off that wiring harness that runs all along here with all the grounding pieces and coil packs. all that stuff. Fuel rails off as well. That was just sitting right up here. So this is getting torn down pretty far. The next thing I think I'm probably going to try and tackle is take off these valve covers. Now on the right hand side there is one small crack here. Fortunately, it looks like it's just in the valve cover right there in that small, about 1 inch section. Doesn't look like anything further along down is cracked anywhere. And even up here, there's no cracking. It's just right here. So this is probably pulled from a wrecked Century. That's usually why they part these out and sell the engines. Fortunately, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. That can be re-welded just right in there and ground down. I wanted to paint these anyway. I've got some red engine paint back in the paint section that I want to make these red. So doesn't matter if I weld it because I'm going to paint them anyway. So anyway, keep going, keep tearing it down. Valve covers are off, set to the side. This thing looks super clean on the inside. The oil is a little bit dark, but I don't see any metal flakes. There's no sludge buildup. Honestly, this looks really low mileage to me. I'm not a professional, engine builder, but this looks super clean. Yeah, so these are dual overhead cams, chain driven right here. You can see each bank has 2 cams. Very beautiful engine. The more I tear it down, the more I'm loving what I'm seeing. A lot of people ask, why would you do this engine? It's not very powerful. LSs are better, or RBs are better. This is just the cool factor. The power potential is huge. The way that this makes power as well, it's all low end, torquey, and it's buttery smooth. And it is absolutely beautiful. I'm just loving this engine. Let's get back to work. All right, I have no idea where I left off in the last clip you guys just saw. I had to run to the auto parts store 3 separate times, and it's probably been like 3 hours since I've filmed anything. So, to get this off, I need these spline sockets. These are the 12-point bolts here. Went to the tool store and got a set, and the set had a 10, an 11, and a 13 millimeter. Well, these are 12 millimeter. So ran back to the auto parts store. They didn't have a 12, so I bought an SAE set they had, hoping that that'd be close enough. It's not. Went to a different auto store. They didn't have any. And the next auto store fortunately did, so I had to buy another set, this time with a 12 millimeter. Finally got it ready though. Pulling off this harmonic balancer, I had to go grab a larger socket. Got the larger socket, got back, realized that is a 3/4 drive, not a 1/2 inch like most of my tools are. So I had to go back and get an adapter so I could get the bolt out from that harmonic balancer. The bolt came out surprisingly easy, actually. Zipped right out of this thing. Now the pulley, on the other hand, did not come off easy. I had to pry it, and it took me about probably a solid 5 sweaty minutes, which isn't too much, but when it's hot, that's a lot of time. So that's pulled out. Another thing I did off camera is I pulled out these tensioners onto the valve chain. It's got one here and one here down below on the other side as well. So I just released the tension off of the chain. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull this front cover off. You can see all these bolts up here. Sorry if I film it right. All these bolts got to come out so I can pull this front timing chain cover off. So that's what I'm going to hit up next. So unfortunately the battery died when I was filming all of that last time lapse. I was able to get the oil pan off. I'm not sure exactly where it died, so I got the lower steel oil pan off and the aluminum oil pan that goes right above it. I did screw up right here. So I got all of these bolts out, these 4 here. I got this bolt out and this one over here. I missed one last bolt right here. So when I pulled the pan off, it snapped this little bracket. It's just a bolt I couldn't see, and I should have been taking more time and being more careful. So that's my bad. This could probably be rewelded, or I could maybe just buy a new one. I don't know. I'll figure this out later. That's unfortunate, but that's the reality of working on cars. The front timing chain cover is off, along with the lower guides right there, and one of the chain, I don't know, positioning guides or whatever that thing is. That's all off. The engine's getting pretty close. I'm just gonna keep going and turn the time lapse back on. So sorry about the dead battery, guys. Well guys, we are back at it again, new day. Last night on that last time lapse, you guys could see I actually snapped the extension I was using trying to crank these bolts off. These are really tight. I ended up getting new sockets, new extensions, and went at it again. I actually had to use a breaker bar because even just a regular 1/2-inch drive wasn't strong enough to do it. So finally got it there. Ended up having to get 3/8 sockets and a 1/4 or a 1/2-inch adapter just to get it with the breaker bar to get this thing off. Finally done though. The bolts on this side are undone. I wanted to make sure that it would work so I don't have to run to the store again, because I've already ran to 2 stores this morning and I went to like 3 or 4 last night. So anyway, let's get these heads off. I'm ready to have these bad boys off of this engine so I can be done with this. Check this thing out. Now looking into these pistons, they actually are pretty clean. I don't see any, burn marks, any crazy buildup. But when the piston's traveling, for a brief period of time, it actually stops moving as it cycles up and down. So the very top and the very bottom are generally where the most wear gets created on the side of this cylinder wall, and it is perfectly smooth. I can't feel anything with my nail. I can't see anything at all with it. They look pretty dang clean, honestly. So I'm really thinking this honestly was a very, very low mileage engine. Because I mean, this is how clean it is after running for how long? I don't know. This looks pretty good to me. So that's good news. I mean, that's what you like to see. Same with this side. I mean, you know, there's a bit of carbon buildup and stuff, but not much. Now I was starting to take all of these bolts off to get to the crankshaft, and I realized I forgot to pull the flywheel off. So I'm gonna just leave all of these in. Obviously, I'm gonna have to pull the engine back off of this engine stand so that I can undo all of these bolts and get this pulled off. Making a lot of progress. I don't think I filmed it, but I got that flywheel off, put it on the hoist, got off, put it back on the engine stand. Everything's good to go there. Just ended up getting all the bolts out here and getting these bearings, crankshaft bearings out of here. Now the bottoms of these, they're the insides, perfectly smooth. I can't feel any lip. I don't see any wear whatsoever on any of them. They look, honestly, they look new. There's just the faintest marks that you can kind of see right there, and it's not bad at all. One interesting thing is these are all numbered. It goes 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just kind of good for reassembly on this engine. These all look super clean though, so I'm really happy with tearing this engine down, honestly. I mean, besides me having never done it and breaking that oil pump bracket, this is going really well. Everything looks brand new in this thing, at least to my non-professional eyes. Hey guys, it's me in the editing room right now making this video. I just want to add some quick commentary over this footage, letting you know why I'm doing this in the first place. Now, I'm getting forged connecting rods. Well, what does that mean? In a naturally aspirated, regular engine like this, you don't need very strong connecting rods. Getting them forged makes them far, far stronger than they are as is. So the advantage is that I can add more horsepower in this engine and have it not break. Now, I'm going to be adding that with probably a supercharger, but we'll get to that in a later episode. For now, I want it to be as strong as possible so that it can be reliable. I don't want to push this thing to its limits and have something explode. So that's the whole thought process behind this. All right, just finished up that piston and rods, pulling all of those out, got the crankshaft out, everything's out. Wow, that took quite a while. For having never done this before, I think I did all right. I think it took about 20 hours start to finish, which was basically just working the entire weekend. Everything's out though. Everything's baggied, labeled. Everything's good to go. Now I'm going to get these shipped out to that manufacturer and get them started with their forged connecting rods. I'm talking to them right now about seeing if this crankshaft could be done with a billet as well. I'm pretty sure they can. They do make crankshafts. We'll just have to see what price they would ask for that. In the meantime, I'm going to get everything cleaned up in here, get the shop kind of put back together, and start storing this stuff away. The next episode you guys will see will probably be Vladimir coming and helping me finish up that front end. So, sorry, the lighting's bad. Anyway, the steering rack and all that stuff will probably be the next episode. This process for getting these made out of the forged metals, shipping there, my original ones, getting the new ones back, that's going to be a couple of months. So I'm getting a head start on it right now. Jumping ahead, so I don't have to wait so long, so that this can progress faster as I do other things while I'm waiting. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the support, and we will see you guys very soon.